Hello everyone, welcome back to YK Reviews. For today's video, today's review is going to be about Netflix's latest movie starring Kevin Hart and Mark Wahlberg called Metime. So let's get in. So with Metime, it's essentially about a stay-at-home dad who, for the first time in years, gets to spend quality time with himself while his wife and his kids go away to visit the grandparents for spring break. So for me, I'm just gonna start off straight off the bat, like with the opening sequence of the movie itself, because it's essentially with me time, as I mentioned, stay-at-home dad played by Kevin Hart, but during his me time he has to like spend it with his best friend growing up, played by Mark Wahlberg. But you see like sort of a backstory with them and their friendship and everything. And in the beginning scene, there's like a scene where they're like wearing these starfish sort of like jumpsuits so that they can jump off a cliff and like sort of like what's the word, skydive, or I don't know what you call it, where you're like floating with gliding, I think it's called. But right off the bat, that opening sequence, I just felt like the CGI was so off-putting. Like, I made a review with Star Wars and just praised the CGI and the visual effects in that movie, so if you haven't actually seen that review, I would definitely check it out. But this one, I don't know if because it's a comedy they did it on purpose, or just everything just looked literally like a wallpaper or like a green screen. It did not look realistic at all. It was so bad. And there was even one particular scene with Kevin Hart fighting a lion, and it was the most ridiculous looking CGI lion I've seen, and that's saying something. Like, it was just looked terrible, and I don't know what happened there. I don't know if it is, like I said, because it's a comedy movie, or if it's just that's what they were going for, if it was unintentional, I don't know. But it's just the opening sequence, when you have that bad of a CGI showing them like jumping off a mountain but it's just looking terrible, it was just off-putting. That whole opening sequence was just so off-putting. But as the movie progressed, I have to say, like, I find Kevin Hart and Mark Wahlberg, I find them funny in terms of like their movies. They have got great comedy movies, they have got great comedic timing essentially when it comes to like their movies. So with Kevin Hart, like, I thoroughly enjoy like his movies. Some of his movies are hilarious. When he does serious movies, they're really great. And similar with Mark Wahlberg, his comedy movies are very fun to watch. So I really enjoyed like the dynamic they had between the two of them. It was really funny, like the back and forth they had, the plans they had with each other. It came across really fun to watch. And for me, going into this movie itself, like I wasn't taking this movie too serious. I just wanted to like enjoy watching a comedy movie, and that's essentially what it is. Like, there were so many like one-liners, quips, funny scenes, scenarios that they find themselves in, that it got a good chuckle out of me. I really enjoyed what they did when it comes to like the comedy aspect of the movie itself. However, the plot, I felt like wasn't as strong as it could have been. But as I said, like, I didn't take this movie too serious. It's a comedy movie. I just wanted to like relax and enjoy like a comedy movie, which I haven't enjoyed for a while, I'll be honest. But essentially with the plot, like when you talk about Kevin Hart, like Kevin Hart is essentially like a stay-at-home dad who, as his wife is like an architect, he does like the volunteering in school, he does like all the houseworks at home. He's pretty much doing he's like a housewife essentially, but the male version of it, I would say. So in the movie itself, like the plot and his character arc is essentially all he does is just spend time with the kids, or like does housework and stuff. He doesn't get any me time essentially. So when the opportunity arises, he doesn't know what to do. In his eyes, his me time was going golfing with like a bunch of like seniors at one point. So he has to be convinced to do something fun essentially. And what he has to get up to, like once he meets Mark Wahlberg, and like once whatever they get up to, and like throughout the movie, like what happens with them, like I don't want to go into too specifics or too much spoiler territories, but I feel like the movie does pick up once Mark Wahlberg and Kevin Hart do meet up again, and go on this great adventure. The movie does pick up. Like, I feel like the first act, just given the backstory of Kevin Hart and like his family life and stuff like that, is a little bit slow and entertaining, but definitely very like a slow pace type first act. So then they meet up with Mark Wahlberg. Those two go on this adventure, and it starts. You kind of get like this hangover vibe type movie from them, but I would say it's more entertaining and more funny with the two of them and like what happens with them, and even some of the side characters. Like, you have a character called Alan, who I feel bad for him, but like his situation and like what he encourages with like Kevin Hart and what he does throughout the movie. I found some funny scenes with him, the Kevin Hart's wife and their kids, and like their situation when they're in visiting the grandparents for the spring break, and what they get up to, like that storyline between like Kevin Hart's wife and what she wants to do, and like her boss being a real weirdo visiting her at her parents' house. It was a bit of a weird like storyline and plotline that they go with for that, but I think it was entertaining, and like everything did tie in together very nicely. There's even like the characters that they introduced. Like I mentioned, you've got Alan as like as just a sad parent who like desperately needs to get out as well. You have the Uber driver. Like, I found her character hilarious when she got introduced. She was such a fun addition to the cast, and like her with Mark Wahlberg and Kevin Hart, they made such a funny duo. So the movie itself, it was funny, it was hilarious. The plot at times was a bit weak, but when it does pick up, it really does pick up and does have great like scenes and vibes to the movie itself. And the characters in themselves are fun to watch. There's no like, I would say, boring parts. The first act was a bit slow, but definitely wasn't boring. And then as the movie progresses, I thoroughly enjoyed like what they did with it. For me, I would recommend this movie if you just want a great comedy movie. Like, you don't want a movie too serious. You don't want to take, like, this isn't the type of movie that you have to take very serious or anything like that. It's just a movie that you just sit back and just enjoy the hilariousness of it, the stupidity of it. I think you'll enjoy it. But if you want to take a movie that's serious, you want a really good plot, this isn't the movie for that. If you want that, then you might have to look elsewhere on Netflix. For me, I found this movie entertaining. I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. It did give me a good laugh out of it, so I wouldn't watch it again, but I definitely enjoyed the first time watch. This is like sort of a first time watch type movie. But if you have seen the movie, let me know what you thought about it. If you haven't seen the movie, let me know if you think you'll watch the movie, if it's your type of vibe. Just let me know down in the comment section below. And if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, hit that notification bell so that you don't miss out on any videos here. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for listening though. This is YK Reviews,